Hello, ladies. Yes, I have the giggles. Oh, it's always good to giggle. Oh, so Dawn Bates with you here today, and today I wanted to discuss endurance because one of the things that we're all seeing at the moment is just how much we can endure. Now, for those of you who remembered more of my initial videos about what does endurance actually mean, I think many of us have been tested to our limits with endurance. Now, several months have gone by since we have all been in quarantine, of one version of it to another, because while some countries have allowed their citizens to do daily exercise and go for walks, there are some of us in different countries around the world that are in serious quarantine situations. I'm actually here in South America, and while some of you are seeing what's happening in one of the neighboring countries, Brazil, I actually had more freedom during the Egyptian uprising and civil unrest that went on out in Egypt during the Arab Spring than I have here in Argentina. And it's uh, it's been interesting. Now I'm quite resilient, and my endurance is pretty hardcore. It needs to be being a sailor doing ocean crossings. When you've been awake for 4 hours before you get up on another shift. And I remember being on the bow of the bark Europa when we were coming down into the south of Chile. It was cold. Waves were coming up. We were in the rolling 50s, and it was wave after wave. The moment you have just turned around to see what you're doing, there comes another wave and it just throws it all over you, the water all over you. You're wet, you're cold, it's freezing temperatures. And you can either choose to resist it or do what a friend of mine, Fleming, and I were doing, and we were just giggling. Um, because what else could we do? We're sailors. Being out on the ocean is something that we love doing. It's a place we love being. And if we'd have just allowed ourselves to endure it in the most negative of ways of that word, then we wouldn't have had a very enjoyable trip. Now, one of the things I'd really invite you to do this week is just to take some time. I've got 5 R's with me today, or from the Norfolk countryside where I grew up, or R from the Pirates that some people ask me to do because I'm a sailor. That does endure, that is a bit enduring. But there are 5 of them that I'd like us to consider during this time that you've been in quarantine. Whether you agree with it or not, um, if you've read some of my articles and some of my posts, you'll have known my stance on this whole situation. And when the Mermaid's Guide series of books come out and you read the chapter on Argentina, and this year it will be quite interesting. But I'd like to invite you to reflect on all that you have achieved during this last few months, because I'm pretty sure you will have achieved a lot more than you've given yourself credit for, because we have a habit of not giving ourselves enough credit. Now, at the back of this month's issue of the House of Preeminence magazine, and what a beauty it is, we have gifted you a planner, the House of Preeminence planner. So it gives you the opportunity to reflect, but it also gives you the opportunity to rethink. Because a lot of us have had to rethink the way we go about our daily lives. We've had to rethink our exercise routines. We've had to rethink our business platforms, how we're scaling our business. We've had to rethink careers, those of us who have been employed and those of us who have been running our own businesses. How are we rethinking? Some of us are even rethinking the relationships that we're in. Cabin fever, and I was actually chatting with a friend, and we were discussing, because Dawn, I now know what you mean by boats get smaller by the minute. I'm like, yeah. Because the thing is, if you've got the wrong people on your boat and you're doing an ocean crossing, it's not pleasant. Really not pleasant. Yeah. You get to rethink who you sail with and what kind of people you sail with the next time. But if you're in a relationship and it's been a lifetime relationship where one of you is here and one of you is there, and then you've been thrown together in 4 months of being in the same house, day in, day out, night in, night out, things have probably gone one of two ways. Really, really great. You're thinking, why were we ever apart in the beginning? Or what the hell are we doing together? So again, reflecting on all that has been part of your relationship and also rethinking where you go from here. Now, the other R that I would like to invite you to have a look at is the regrouping. Because some of us are in different situations. We've realized that where we are at in our life, some of us are coming up with some really big milestones. My business will have been going 4 years in 6 weeks. And so looking at my team, looking at those who were on my team, what it was I liked about them, what it was that I enjoyed working with them, where I'm going from here on in, regrouping the kind of people that I want in my network, releasing those who I don't want in my network, but also regrouping on where I am as a human being, as a woman, as a mother, as a family member, as a daughter, and bringing together all the greatness that has happened in my life for me. Now, it may have been traumatic at the time, but how can we regroup and channel all the things that we may not think were good for us, but have turned out to be some of the best things that have ever happened to us? The fourth one that I'd like us to explore would be the refreshing. Now, Alison, she gives us some really great articles on refreshing, our fitness regime, our foods. Jenny has been delighting us with some fabulous recipes, and also refreshing our wardrobes. Now, unfortunately, I can't go shopping right now, and I'm someone who will not buy clothes online. I like to go and feel the fabric. I want to make sure there are no microplastics in my clothing. I want to make sure that there's no polyester. I'm very much a touchy-feely kind of gal. I like natural fibres, and I want to make sure that the clothes fit me. Now, I have a tiny waist, I have curvy backside and hips, and I want to make sure that the jeans look great. I'm not going to buy them online. I also want to make sure that the clothing I wear actually fits me in all ways, and it's actually versatile. Now, the other thing that I would like to invite you to do is, how can you re-energize? Whether it's your makeup, whether it's your hair. Nolene, I was going to say Colleen. Nolene has given us some fabulous bits and pieces in this month's magazines about re-energizing and creating a spa at home. I mentioned that in last week's video. But how else can we re-energize? Ladies, if you haven't read Love Your Lady Landscape or Pussy, a Reclamation by Regina Thomashausen, I highly recommend these 2 books. Have you got reading material that re-energizes you mentally, emotionally, spiritually? What about re-energizing your business? Because when we look at these 5 R's, reflecting on how far we've come, rethinking our approach to each area of life, and one of the great tools with the House of Preeminence is the Guild Manifesto. This document is hugely transformational. If you haven't already taken a copy of the House of Preeminence magazine and gone through each article with your journal and a pen and drawn out some journaling questions, then I highly recommend that you go and look at the Guild's manifesto and download this and work through it and apply each of the 9 preeminent characteristics to each and every single area of your life. It is a powerful document. I'd also, again, when we're looking at regrouping, look at who your champions are. Who's championing you at the moment? Who has always championed you? Keep the ones who champion you close. The ones who just talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. Are they going to walk the rest of the journey with you? And then refreshing your style, your personality, your home, your branding for your business. We've got some fabulous articles in there this month or every month. But just be with the magazine. Enjoy it. Really embody a lot of what we're writing about in there. It's for you to just take time with it. I remember way back when Vogue used to drop in on my door, through my doorstep, my letterbox on a Friday. Friday was my Vogue day. It was my meeting with Vogue. Now I would make myself fried egg sandwich with HP sauce, slightly toasted bread, big cafetiere of fresh ground coffee, and then I would be there with my Vogue magazine and a journal and a pen, and each and every single article, whether it was one on the history of fashion or the history of a color, the cultural influence in the clothing, I would be there writing and journaling. What was it that I was reading? What was it I was inspired by? And I invite you to do that with the House of Preeminence magazine, because the content is really, really powerful. So just be with it. Really treasure your moments. It's your time. Whether it's an hour a day that you sit with the magazine and you read through it, and remember the 5 R's, because this is what's going to help you. When you feel that you're enduring in a really negative way, look at endurance as the long run. How are these articles that you're reading and experiencing in the magazine, how are they helping you with your long term? Because life is not a sprint, life is a marathon, and you need endurance for a marathon. So that's it from me today. I hope that's been useful for you. One of the things I've enjoyed this week is technical problems. A Microsoft update threw out all of my tech, locked me out of my office suite. So I had to have endurance. And this is the other thing I'd like to invite you to explore. What are the things that's been going on for you this last week? There's been an endurance. 2 full days for me going through tech systems, tech support, online support, settings. When I sold my IT business, I thought I was done with that kind of stuff. But thankfully, with my IT background, I was able to bring it forward. And although it was enduring in every sense of the word, I invite you to take a look at the last 4 months, each month, and the last week. Because when we do that, we get present just how amazing we are. And we get to shine a light on just how incredible we are. So I leave that with you. Have a wonderful week, and I will be back with you next Thursday. Enjoy this month's magazine. Ciao for now.